You start with savings. You
Very
start
true.
thinking about how to qualify to buy a house. How much money do you need? So if you're not in a position where people around you are homeowners or talking about it, it's hard for you to be ambitious enough or know enough to say, okay, I'm going to buy a house. So something, the conversation, or you have to be around that to know, okay, this is the first step that I got to go take, to go speak to a banker to get qualified, or do I have enough money? Do I have a good stable job where I can afford the payments, and where do I start? So it starts with that, just knowing where to start and getting some guidance on how to start.
I'm a firm believer in, hurry up, bro, get in the seat, man. I'm a firm believer in, before you could achieve it, you have to envision it. And I never even envisioned my first condo until I went to check my homie. I used to check him in a basement apartment. We're doing our thing, you know, he's in a basement apartment. He goes and buys one of the condos at Humberline. So I go in there on some, holy smokes, that just blows my mind. I see security stop me like, excuse me, sir, you trying to go? I'm like, oh, sorry. I'm like, I'm trying to get to the elevator. He's like, well, which tower are you trying to go to? I'm like, what? There's two different ones? That right there just blew my mind to the point where I was like, wow, I want to get one of these for myself. And I remember I asked my friend at that time, and I had no money at all. And I just asked questions like this and that and that and this. So I think you're right. Once you have the conversation, that's key, but you really don't have the conversation if none of your friends have. If no one around you had that conversation, just doesn't occur. What do you think is harder for people to come across, the down payment or the credit? I'm gonna tell you already, I find it's probably the credit, because credit you can't control.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one. A lot of people come to me, and sometimes they have the money, and they think that just because they have the money, that they can buy a place.
Yeah.
Just because they think money talks, and you know, money this, money that. But I agree. When they come with me, and we go to the banker and we say, okay, these got 15,000, 20,000 minimum. As a first-time buyer, minimum down payment is 5%. So let's get that out
All
there.
right. So he said, hold on. He says first-time home, for you to buy a house, first-time home, 5% down. For a person like me, tell me what that number just works out to.
Okay, so for a $300,000 condo, 5% is 15,000. That's minimum down payment, and then you got closing costs. Let's add another 1%, so $3,000. So total, about $18,000 to buy your first property for about $300,000.
Okay, see, so that lets you know. When I went to him, this is who I got my spot from. When I went to him, I literally went to him with one question: how much money do you need? I just went to him and said, how much do I need to come back with?
And then what about those people who have that money, but the credit is, what do they have to do?
So I work with a company that builds those credits up. So what we do is we tell everybody to pull their own score from Equifax, so it doesn't bring their score down, number one. Then we take that report, and then we give it to the company that I work with, and it's free of charge when you work with me exclusively and you end up buying with me, right? Because it's all in the pool. So what we'll do is the minimum score you should have is 680. Okay. So when you check your Equifax, there's your credit history, and then you have your beacon score. When you do a 5% deal, it's an insurance deal. It goes to a company called Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation, CMHC. And their qualifications, on top of the bank's qualification, is that first-time buyers should have at least a minimum of 680 beacon score. Okay? If you're close to it, like 670, 675, they will make exceptions if you don't have too many debts. So now we're talking about credit history, beacon score. So now you have the money. Now we have to fix your credit to qualify for the first-time buyer qualification program. So we have programs where it might take 3 months, 6 months to 12 months. So some people come to me with 500 and they get to 680 in 6 months, right? So
that's amazing. That's an amazing credit bump.
People think that they can't build their credit that quick. they have no like awareness of credit, because when we growing up in school, like we didn't really have courses on
That
credit.
was,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
there was
no,
nothing. There was a
Nothing,
course
right?
on nothing. Budgeting, bill paying,
Oh,
credit,
no, no.
taxes. You know what integers are? You know what bedmass is? I can tell you what bed.
I know. They show you the basics.
So
Yeah.
that just shows you. That just shows you. With the housing market, money, credit, it's a big jump, we all know, to come from metro housing to getting your own place. That jump plus getting the money, is there any way you could see someone doing in 2019 rent to own? Or is rent to own always been a thing of the past, it's not real?
No, it is real. I'll explain it like very briefly, very quickly. Rent to own is if you have an investor who buys the house today. Like I'm gonna help you buy this house. Okay, so I'll buy the house. I'm gonna buy it for 400,000, right? We're gonna sell it to you for 450 right now, but you don't have the down payment. But you're gonna qualify to buy it in, let's say, 3 years. So the rent to own now is between you and that investor.
Yeah.
So you are a renter right now until you become the owner. But when you qualify for it, you qualify for the price that you negotiated in 2019, right? So you would pay the rental fee for the current owner, and then on top of that, you would pay another additional 500 to 1,000, which goes towards your down payment for the 3 years you're renting. Then after the 3 years, you might have 20,000 saved for the 450. The down payment is 5% minimum.
Yeah.
So you take that and then you qualify at that time. And at that time, the property might be 650. So if you qualify for the 450, you're winning at the end of the day. But nowadays, the inventory is a problem. And then the housing market is such high demand that rent to own is fading away. And it's making it harder for people in social housing, people who are renting, to get out and to enter the market, right? Because that options, before we had developers from the States at Islington and Finch there, they were providing their own financing to people and creating rent to own, like they were offering zero down, full loans. So we had those back in the days when the market wasn't so in such demand. So now it's like everybody's buying. We have people from overseas coming and buying. So there's no need to offer that.
Look at Vancouver.
Bounce back.
Right?
The market, you see, like buying a house.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rock? You think buying a house is still people's dream, or do most millennials? Because I seen something and they said you should be living your life with starting a family, purchasing a property, starting a business, and flourishing.
Yeah.
But instead, what people are doing is they can't start a family because most people are still living at home. They don't really have they can't start a business because they're in the process of working still.
Yep.
And buying a home is just coming off as a naive dream instead of a reality.
No, I think people still are every day working towards buying homes. It's just
Could you work towards something you could calculate and see, no matter what I do, it's not even adding up? You could kind of run your paychecks, your logistics throughout the year and be like, this is not even adding up right here.
But this is the whole thing. People are going to university, coming out of university, getting legitimate jobs, and because of the society versus saturated with all these buying, there's a lot of people that have, even though they have the knowledge of financial, education, they still are like addicted to shopping, addicted to living above your means, and so now,
do we not? So it's not a problem with the housing market. It's a problem with spending.
No. Certain demographics have their issues, right? And that's what I'm trying to come towards. There's a lot of people who are working those university jobs, and their choice is not whether I can get a house or not, but can I get a house in my neighborhood? Can I stay around my family? I have to go and buy a house in Shelburne, and you know what I'm saying? And so wait,
you getting that? Everyone from Shelburne, get out of it. You're from Shelburne? He He has a personal bias towards Shelburne. I don't know.
No, I don't, that's not a personal bias. The houses in Shelburne are cheap.
It's going up. It's going up.
How much is a house in Shelburne right now?
Like mid-4.
And how much is a house in Brampton?
7.
Okay, so the choice is, am I gonna buy a house for 7 and stay near my family, or go cop that 4 and drive an hour?
Our drive for 300,000.
But you know what a lot of people do?
You get a nice car for 300,000.
You can get a nice car for 3 racks.
You know what I see people doing? They go to Shelburne,
Yeah.
and then when they make like enough money, they come back to the city.
Okay.
When they can make a sacrifice. And
Yes.
I go back to sacrifice. So like, I give seminars for first-time buyers, and what I preach to them is like sacrifice. Like, if you're making 60,000 a year, and that's how much you're making, you need to know, okay, how much are my expenses? How much can I save? And you have to make a conscious effort to say, okay, if I'm not going to buy those Louis Vuittons, or if I'm not going to buy that Versace, I'm saving $4,000, $5,000. It's not taken away from you, right?
Instagram came around and people have to look good.
Okay.
The Louis, they show something. Since the birth of Instagram, Gucci, Louis, Prada's been doing a steady little climb, you know, like they're doing a steady climb.
It's okay.
It's a steady upward stream they doing because people have to show what they're wearing. So I understand what you're saying. You have to make sacrifices to get stuff. I want to ask you a real question. What is the average age of the average person that comes to get a home from you, whether condo or home? What do you think the average age when they first come to you?
I would say, like mostly first-time buyers is like 60% of the market, right? So I'll tell you, like their age group right now is about 25 to 35. The millennials, they're trying desperately to get into the market
so
right
for
now.
everyone that feels, oh, I'm not living right, or 25 to 35. That's the average age for first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
You are not late. You are early. You're just on time. Don't rush God's timing.
And then why would you be like worried about an average age, right? It's about timing.
But you know, some people get depressed.
Are you mature enough to make the sacrifices? Like, do you even want a home? Are you? Maybe your plan is to travel. Maybe you're putting all your money into your business, and you're an entrepreneur, and you know what I'm saying. So,
no, very true.
So people, we're talking about sacrifice a little bit more.
Okay, so like I had a lot of clients who came to me about 2 years ago, and I said, I'll work with you. Just save, don't eat out, it's healthier, eat at home, and just try to create a lifestyle where it's simplified, and even when you're going out, you're not splurging as you were, because now you have a chip in your mind like saying, okay, that could be a hydro bill, or that could be property tax. So when you just got to be responsible thinking, and you just really have to, just be, I'm not saying be less social, I'm just saying you have an end goal. And think about your friends, there's 5 of you, everybody's doing the same thing. But at the end of the year, you're gonna get a house because you made the sacrifice, you decided not to buy this crazy outfit, or you didn't go on this vacation or whatever. But it's gonna be worth it because you're gonna end up with your own property, you're gonna become a homeowner, and you're gonna see what that opens up for you.
Equity. It
just becomes better from there, right? So you have to think of it as a long-term investment too. Don't go thinking I'm gonna buy a house and flip it next year and make a quick 40 grand, 50 grand. No, think of it as a retirement plan for your children, generational wealth, right? Build, right? It's a foundation. We have a great opportunity in this land, and there's no prejudice. If you have money and you qualify, you can go buy, and you can build your wealth.
Thank you. My brother coming through dropping nothing but mad knowledge.
We got mad knowledge over here, man. And this is what people really are thinking about. A lot of everybody's, this is, you said 25 to 35. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's what it is. Like home ownership, investments, and building our communities to where we can have a say in what goes on in our community.
I'm just happy that there's gonna be some young guy or girl that's gonna hear this and they're gonna get the knowledge so much faster than we all did.
Exactly.
So by the time they're our age, they're gonna be so dumb far. They're gonna be so. I was telling someone the other day, if people are saying I'm fired. I'm like, I'm not fired because I've been doing this like college for like 8 years. What if I've been doing this for longer?
No. If a kid sacrifices, I'll tell you, he could be coming out of high school with his 20 racks to put down.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And-
They
and-
already have the knowledge.
Yeah,
The key is to pass the knowledge down and pass it down sooner.
And what you guys are saying, that's a strategy. Like my nephews, I tell them take advantage of co-op, right? Go and get involved with what you want to do. Make sure you have a secure job, and make sure you take advantage of these good opportunities. 17 years old, by the time you're 19, you've already got a job. You're in an internship. You might have got hired. You might have straight entered the work field. I'm not saying education is bad. I'm saying have your education, have your internship, have your backup plan. Just go hard as you can, right? You know, like, and have fun doing it, because when you do it younger, you'll be able to enjoy when you're even sooner. Like people usually think about in their 30s about buying a home, starting a family. Think about it when you're 17, 18, because life is going to hit you real quick when you're 18, and things are going to go very much faster than they were going before, as we all probably know.
Let me get to some of these questions.
Oh, for sure. That's what the point of the live is, right?
Yeah, you know. So she said, why pay someone else's mortgage? I think she's talking about the
rental.
Yeah, why you might as well buy your own.
But the thing with those, that's why it doesn't exist as much as it used to, because if you were to miss 3 payments, then the rent to own would be forfeited. So a lot of people who did get rent to own in the past, they did it because they would have never been able to save the down payment. So this way, they have the house that they're going to buy, they live in it, and they're buying it
May I have your attention,
in
please?
2019.
Rajendra Sharma, please come to the
So the
front
price will be
desk.
higher,
Thank
but
you.
getting back to your point, might as well rent somewhere for cheaper, make a sacrifice, and save money, and then just enter the market with something that you like and become an owner right away. So we're not saying, we're just trying to speak about the details of rent to own. It's not as easy, it's not as available as it was before, but I do agree with you. It's better if you just save the money, get educated, get some information, team up with family members, just buy something, right?
Jess Brown is like, how do you feel about owning?
Speak up with the questions, man. I can't hear you
Oh,
understand.
yeah,
everyone,
my
man.
bad.
Don't speak up.
Jess Brown is asking, how do you feel about owning? Owning is not an asset. I'm not sure.
Okay, like, yeah, so I have some, family members and clients who decided not to buy because they're just, they have good jobs, so they're saving and they're traveling and they're enjoying life. But that's what they said. They don't feel like, okay, I should take all this money and just dump it into a property and then have the stress of paying bills, and it's not an asset because it's the bank still owns the majority of the loan and whatnot. But I tell people that's just how it works. If you were to buy something and 2 years, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you would be sitting on a lot of capital and a lot of equity. You might be able to use that as collateral to take more money out or take a loan to start a business. A lot of people may use the equity to start a business or to travel or to consolidate their loans. So it's not just buying a home, it's what you do after you buy the home to get even into a better situation.
Thank you.
How do you build your portfolio? It's not just one home, or it's not just, that's not the end all goal, that's just the beginning. People, like me growing up, I never knew that like it should be a necessity to have, it should be a right to have shelter. And then home ownership. Everybody deserves to be a homeowner and reap the benefits of it.
Of course, man. That's
Your children reap the benefits. You create this wealth. In 20, 25 years, before we retire, we'll have $500,000. And like I say that loosely, but that's 20 years, and we need a lot of money to retire. So like think about your life. Think about 20, 30 years down the line,
the long term, the long run. I say,
Yeah.
when you have property, you always have the luxury of, no matter what, if this is your house, this is your house, and you sleep peacefully knowing, if anything goes wrong, my kids will just go back to that house I have for them.
Exactly.
You know how good it feels to lie in your deathbed and be like, I know my kids will never sleep in a shelter. Like, no matter what, they could always go back to that. Even if it's a piece of crap house, there's a house there for them. That's their house. No one can kick them out of. Not know, hey, you're renting my house, I want back my house. You know what people I've seen that happen to?
Oh man.
You know what people I've seen that happen to? They be in their house eating dinner. Hey, I need my house. Can you be out of here by the first of the month? Like, what the hell? Like, that right there is
So
security.
shout out Adam. She's like exactly what I'm telling my daughter. She's 18. I want to add her to our mortgage and give her a step up. So when she's ready, we can sell and take out a second mortgage and buy her house. So and that's another thing too. Is like, you know, a lot of our parents were first generation Canadians.
They were just coming up
right?
here. They didn't have no.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So even though they had those same aspirations, it took them. They weren't 25 to 35 getting their
Took them a
homes. You know
little-
what I'm saying?
Yeah, back then it was like 45 to 65. Like
Yeah,
it was,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And most of them weren't thinking about entrepreneurship or traveling. They were just working. You know what I mean? So our generation and the generation after us has a chance, a good chance to be able to get a step up and foot down in the country. You know?
For sure.
No,
I
for
agree.
sure.
Yeah, man.
I agree, and I think like parents who set up their children in that manner is the right step, and I think that's what everybody should do. Like, just have the conversation so that it just stirs something in your mind instead of buying a $250,000 chain or.
I see people buying their kid Gucci.
Gucci, this, that.
I'm like, your kid want Fortnite skin. He don't want no Gucci. Your kid want Fortnite stuff. You buying him Gucci. This kid don't even know. He don't.
Really?
Like, come
It's
on,
just,
man.
okay, if you have money saved for him and he's gonna be good and you wanna spend a little extra, cool. But if you're buying him Gucci shoes and you don't have a RESP for him and money for him when he goes to school, I think that's just very irresponsible.
Poor
And
prioritizing.
it's just poor prioritizing, right? So you gotta put your children first, you gotta be selfless, and you gotta really make sacrifices for the
Uh-oh.
greater good.
The John Michelle Tinker says, own assets to build your own wealth instead of increasing the pockets of others. Buy as a group if you can't own your own. Yeah, and that's a good idea too. You know, get with your peoples. You spending all that time with it, and you might as well buy it and take the rooms and live together or rent it out together. You know,
Exactly.
manage it together, manage the rental. You know, good idea, Michelle.
And you know,
What?
going deeper into that, like everybody's portion will be tenants in common. So when you do it as a group, you could start a corporation, and everybody can be a shareholder
There
and
you
buy as a
go.
corporation. So just some insider
And
tips
that's,
there.
and that's business.
Yeah.
You know, black business.
Yes, and you know what it is?
I-
I just believe that the information is not available to us. It's not readily available. So for me to come in here and just give out the information that I learned over the 10 years of
You
doing
got,
this
hold on,
business-
let them know. You would have to pay him for this information. This is what you go to his seminars.
Yeah.
This ain't free. He's giving you free game right now.
Free
This
game.
is free
Free
game on how to look about getting your first home and how to purchase and how to, like, just the knowledge you don't have.
It's very possible to do. Don't think that it's impossible. If you focus on the problem, it's always going to be a problem. So focus on the solutions all the time, and just know that owning something is just beneficial. So if you're focusing on the Toronto housing issues, there's so many issues, but how do you tackle it? Are you a politician? What type of power do we have? Or do we just go together and try to make a change? Or how do we individually make a change and help our communities and our families? Let's start with that, like, you know, individuals and our families and the communities that we grew up with, and promoting them to go buy something or saving something for their children and creating generational wealth. I keep talking about generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
Right, leave something for your children's grandchildren's grandchildren, right?
It's that Game of Thrones mentality. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Right?
You want to see generations do good, and you have to
Exactly.
say, you have to, when your whole, like you said, most of our generation, more parents before us, they came here. They just came here from other places in the world. So we're first generation Canadians. It's us. We're the ones that get the first crack at this. So put our kids in a position to win.
Yep.
Is the least. Is the
Win,
least.
win, win, win.
Position to win, positioning, definitely. So like if you're renting right now and you're in social housing, it's comfortable. Like as the parents, if you're not making enough or you're struggling, it's real life. We understand. I've been there. We can all relate here, right? So I'm not here on a bias. I've been there. So like when I'm speaking, believe me, I was in social
I
housing.
grew up with them under in the trenches.
and we came out. We knew this
In
couldn't
the
be right.
trenches.
There had to be an exit strategy. We deserve what other communities are deserving as well. So it's just about coming out of your comfort zone, having an exit strategy, and just being very positive and just having the vision like I'm gonna do this one way or another. And then just creating the path. Like if you know someone's done it, follow their path or find someone who will help you get to your path.
I just said the other day, you gotta learn to be a passenger in the car to success. Sometimes we have this misconception that we have to be the one driving the wheel. No, you gotta learn. You could be if you've seen someone else's, you know what? I'm gonna put my own twist on it, but I'm gonna take your approach. I like the approach you took, brother. You could be a passenger in the car too of success and reach your goals in life.
Hey, ego has a lot to do with a lot of these things, you know.
Ask questions, ask for help.
Ego, also, these things come from, you know, conditions that we have, conditions that we are put under, you know what I'm saying? So,
And like I was gonna segue into when he speaks about the masculinity aspect and
yeah, that's
the
what I
whole
was going to
aspect.
segue into.
Yeah,
the
of course,
mental
of
health
course, of course.
issue of these stigmas that we're under, you know what I mean? And you're also doing some things on that.
Yeah.
Right? So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm doing this it's a pageant, but it's to create awareness for mental health awareness for men, because men aren't really supposed to be vulnerable or soft or speak about their emotions or what they're going through. If they're depressed or have anxiety, they're supposed to just like growing up, like we're supposed to just not say nothing, just like, you know, be masculine about it and not shed a tear and hide from being emotional and vulnerable. But that creates a black state where, you know, you go and you might go to alcohol, or you might go to drugs and violence and all these things and get depressed, or you know, you get into the state where you have like mental health issues, and then that creates your demons. You're fighting it with negativity, and then because you don't have no one to talk to. So it's not fair. You should like the home with your mother, father, sisters, brothers, it starts there. So you should be able to go to your mother and father and say, Mom, I'm depressed. And your mom should be like, why are you depressed, son? And those things don't really happen because you're probably ashamed to go to your mom and be like, how's she gonna think of me? I'm a man, I'm her son, but I'm depressed, or I'm getting bullied. And how can I talk to my mom? She won't understand. Or like, how could I go to my brother? Like, I don't want them to know I'm going through this. No, it's okay to go through it because everybody goes through it. Cyberbullying, verbal abuse, this, that, social pressure, community pressure, parents pressure. Growing up, we have a lot of pressures and expectations, and when we don't get meet them, I seen my own family get depressed. I had a brother-in-law who committed suicide, and I couldn't find the answers on why he did that. It was over 10 years, but I had to like really be conscious about suicide, depression, anxiety, because I realized that it just makes you feel like life is done, like end your life, which is not the case.
And the thing with that is that we all know we're talking about buying homes and maintaining homes, and we know the stress of the job market, the workforce.
The other side of,
you know,
my 3 friends I went to high school just bought a home. I'm still renting.
right?
My 4 friends
That's
just
true.
got married. I'm still just dating.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
pressure you put yourself under
Yes.
when you're comparing yourself to other people's life,
Yeah.
that is guaranteed a recipe for disaster. But just to be, like you said, being aware and being able to talk. I tell people all the time, if you need to talk, talk. People come to me all the time and bare their soul because I'm like, bro, talk that shit. You
Right.
can't get that off your chest.
Of course, but listen, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying like the pressure of keeping the lights, the water, the electricity, like, you know what I mean? Those little, you ever see that public service announcement where the lady's in the kitchen, she's opening up the can, she opens up the can and the roof comes out.
Yeah,
She closes the can
it's a
and the
decision.
roof goes down.
It's a decision. Do I eat? Do I pay my rent?
Exactly.
Just like the light, when you turn on the light and I think the fridge disappears.
Yes.
So it's like, do I have a light or does my fridge stay?
Exactly.
And for everyday
and
life.
that is the pressure that a lot of so-called middle class, but you know, they have their homeowners, but they're struggling to keep the payments up. You know what I'm saying? And that's where these mental health stresses and these things come into play.
You're right, because they might have their own issues. Your mom and father might be dealing with their own issues, and I want to just touch on that. The financial aspect, even as a mother and father, if you're short $200 and your son or your daughter's capable of working, have the conversation about finances, so it just gets in their head like, okay, mom has a house but she's struggling. Maybe I should work and help her keep the house. Like when you're 18, you're an adult. Like when I was 18, my dad said, go get a job and start, you know,
There's
paying
a
bills.
lot of people that argue and debate that to this day.
Well, that's a...
No, you know, I mean debate. I know there's a lot of 18-year-olds, they don't want to help mom. 19-year-olds, they don't want to help mom. I know people that are 20, 22, 23, they have kids living in mom's house. They don't want to pay no bills, they want to eat all the groceries. And it's because I literally could say, it's almost like the security blanket. I see people do it when it's in housing. When they know no matter how fuck up mom is, we good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's different when you know you can go back to your house when there's lots of change.
Yeah,
Sheriff department's there.
yeah,
So it's just a little different
it is.
with that.
So that comfort, is it really comfort or is it just convenience at that time? Because they're not looking at the longer picture, like the bigger picture. Like, are we going to be here forever?
Definitely.
Is this what our life is? We're convenient, we're comfortable here. And they know.
Places. They just,
Yeah.
that's why I say it's key for you to have the vision and want better and do better.
And I think a platform like this, what you guys are doing is amazing, to like just have this conversation for people to hear that, you know, there's finances, but beyond the finances, there's mental healthness. How do you, like some people, like your father, if he doesn't make enough money, like he probably doesn't, like as a man, feel like I can't go to my child and be like, oh, son, I don't make enough money, so I can't do this.
Right now, in most households, they say majority of women are the breadwinners.
Yeah, and think,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Majority of women are the breadwinners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So men who are in a situation where the woman is the breadwinner, like I'm telling you, that's okay. Don't feel like you're weak or whatever. Embrace that woman and try to better yourself as well, because we have to embrace the woman as well. So I'm just saying, it's like before it was very, you have to be the man, the breadwinner, and do everything. But
Different time now.
But does it emasculate you?
Well, as a
Right?
father, you might have to go work on the car and go do the laundry. You might have to go cut the lumber for the tree and
Yeah.
go sew your daughter's, ballet skirts.
But now this goes into why, you know, kind of causes of mental health is these stigmas, these stereotypes that these boxes people are put in, so that when it comes time to have to do that now,
That's why I'm gonna be happy.
They've been put in a box, and I'm this man who's the man of mans, but you know what? My woman's making more money than me. It's a logical choice for me to stay home with the kids, but.
That's why I'm going to be happy to say I could get into, because we have to get ready to close up, but we're going to get into
Right.
2 exercises. Man in the Box is one exercise where it shows you basically the stigma of being a man and what it could do if you put a man in these boxes of you should play sports, you should be strong, you should know how to fix a car,
Or fight.
or you should know how to fight and win a fight.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the stigma of, you wouldn't put that, the girls are under that same stigma every time you open a magazine
Yep.
or now go on their phone.
Yep.
And it's the same thing that you just have to be able to address. But we're gonna get into those exercises. But my man,
Thank you so much,
Hey,
man.
thank you for having me.
love, man.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
Thank you, and thanks
You
for
already
everyone
know.
for
Yeah.
watching and listening. Amazing. Keep it up, guys.
Straight.
Hold on, let my life see your